And one of the keys to having a successful business that grows, that makes you money, and that gives you a lifestyle is having a great team, and hiring is a key part of that. And I think this is really a topic for another 5 podcasts, how to hire people, but this is just about when I should hire, and we'll dig into some of that stuff, and we have, in previous episodes as well. But it's massively important skill.
That's it. What if we get it right, man? I mean, a lot to be gained.
Yeah, we get more work done. We get more clients happy, keep the clients happy. We make more money, which is important. We take the pressure off ourselves and the rest of the team as well, and ultimately we can grow the business. If we do this right.
Definitely. So, mate, I think a lot of people, they do actually wait a really long time. That's kind of what we're unpacking today. So, what should we do? What's best practice?
Well, there's no simple answer, but I think there's a few things we can kick around which are super helpful. So the first thing is, do you actually fully understand the costs of not hiring? What it actually costs to not hire. And we've touched on this a bit, but this is important. It's very easy to see the costs of hiring because they're like right in front of you. They're like, and people tend to notice things that are kind of immediate as well and that they can quantify. So they know it's going to cost them, $40 an hour, and they go, oh, well, that's whatever it is a week, a couple of grand a week or whatever. And so that's like, oh, okay, can see that. But they're not so good at looking at what's the opportunity cost. And that's what we talked about, $25K a month. But I think a good way of looking at it is thinking about a glass. So if you've got a glass that's full of water, maybe if you think of your business as a glass that's full of water, you're tapped out already. You can never catch more water than the size of the glass. So if you just pour more water on it, it's just going to flow over, and all that effort is wasted. So that happens a lot with businesses. They waste the opportunity to grow. They're too slow to getting jobs. They're too slow to price jobs. They turn down jobs. They don't return phone calls, and they don't even price work, which is there if they were really getting organised and could get the team to do it. So that's the first thing. I think the other thing is, honestly, if you're worried about the amount of work for them, if you're busy already, you've probably got enough work for half a tradesperson already, to be honest, or maybe more.
Hang on, I'm a business owner. I'm Superman. I'm supposed to be working 80 hours, aren't I?
Well, I don't know about Superman. He wore his undies on the outside. I'm not sure that's, the way you want to roll.
Good life choices.
Well, I guess today anything goes, mate. That's, if you want to roll that way, that's all good.
But seriously, if you're already overworked yourself, which a lot of people are, because they'll just take that on themselves. If you're busy, then you have the work.
Yeah, look, if you think about maybe there's a bit of overtime being done, maybe there's a bit of weekend work being done, and maybe there's a whole lot of jobs that are just stacking up. Like you've got a long lead time. So if you had more people, you'd just shorten that lead time, and you'd find more work would come in because you'd be open to it. So you'd pick up the phone calls, you'd price the extra work. All of a sudden, look, we find this all the time, right? People are worried about hiring someone. Then they hire them, and within 6 weeks, they're like, flipping heck, I need to hire again.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Well, I guess they create the vacuum, right?
That's right.
You make the situation where you have to make it work, and it works. I suppose a big thing as well is if I get another guy on the tools and they're working hard and they're getting more jobs done, that frees up time either for me if I was on the tools or for other senior members in the team if I've already managed to pull out of that. And what can I do with that time? Am I able to train some more junior staff? Am I able to go and rustle up some more work and fill everybody back up again and then continue to grow the team and hire more and more people? What are we able to do with that time? I think there's a huge opportunity in the time factor as well.
Massive. It's like an anti-conundrum.
Kinda, yeah. Well,
yeah. You like that? So it's like a positive cycle. Like things, you get a bit more time and you can work on things and they get better, and then it sort of goes up from there, which I think is pretty cool.
That's it.
I like that. Anti-conundrum. Sorry.
Well, I think you just coined a new phrase, mate.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I think the thing is most people actually have that time, but we've got a bit of a rule, for how busy you are. We call it the 80% rule, so maybe you should jump into that one.
Yeah, 80% rule. So I reckon good rule of thumb is when you're at 80% capacity, that's the time to hire. So don't wait till you're 100%, because when you're at 100%, you're just flat out like a lizard drinking, right? You don't know which way's up and down because you just tapped out. And when you're tapped out, trying to do everything, it's very hard to think clearly. Typically, you hire out of desperation. I need a body. Take anyone. Don't do the process right. I'm sure you know, some of you guys listening have done this. Like, hey, they've got a body. We'll see how they go, which is, you know, is probably not the best way to hire. You've got to be pretty, you know, got to follow a process and be pretty disciplined about it. So hire when you're at 80% of capacity, because then you've got the time to actually do it properly. You've got the time to do a bit of training, and it's not like just balls out craziness. So, yeah.
Yeah, mate, if you wait till you're 100%, I mean, you're never going to do a good job. You end up taking on a lemon. You end up going backwards. You get more jaded with the whole thing, and then you procrastinate again next time because you're like, this sucks. But actually, it was just that you didn't really have the time to do it properly because you waited too long. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and a bit of a vicious circle, really.
Yeah, conundrum. Anyway, most people don't hire because they actually fear. It's fear, isn't it? You know, it's like it's procrastination or fear or just being too busy, just not getting around to it. And so you almost get in that situation where you can't help yourself because you're so busy. Oh, I'll get onto it next week. Or I'll get onto hiring when it gets a bit quieter. Well, it'll get a bit quieter because you can't service your clients, you can't do any quotes, and the pipeline dries up. That dries up. That's what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the old cycle again, right? Like, we get busy, should have hired, you get flat out doing all the work to get through it because you didn't have time to hire anyone. You get through all the work, but you haven't generated any more work because you were busy doing the work, and then you're like, whew, thank God we didn't hire. We got
well, that's exactly right. It's like it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you create your own sort of reality. So, yeah. So fear, it's a false expectation appearing real, like it's like it's all in your head. It hasn't happened yet, so
we got to man up. Tackle it all today, but I think the big thing is like that fear probably doesn't ever really go away, right, Tony? I mean, you can logically know that it is not founded, and that actually you shouldn't be fearing this, but you probably will. And so I think the big thing is just lean into the old saying, mate. Feel the fear,
do it anyway. I don't think any of us ever, like, we're doing some interviews today here, and you're always nervous about it, and we teach this stuff. So, so you do sometimes just have to man or woman up and do it and get good at it, because the more you do it, the better you get at it as well. So, and it can take some time. So you really want to get onto it. Like, if you're thinking it's something you want to do, get into it, because good people can take some time to find. Might take you a couple of months, might take a little longer. So how much opportunity cost is there? Are you going to pay if you wait too long?
So I suppose, like, the big thing is, if we know where we want to go, I mean, it's going to be less scary as well, right? Like, if we've got a really clear vision and goals, and that vision and those goals include growth, and include taking on more tradesmen or tradespeople, it's a lot less scary, right? Because, I mean, doing it now, doing it in 6 months, I mean, I'm going to do it. So at some point I've got to be ready. I've just got to take that plunge. But if I know I want to grow to a point where I have 10 more tradespeople, for example, then, hey, what's one now? It's like one small step. Might as well just get into it, right?
Yeah, one small step for mankind. That's quite, actually, we should use that saying. Has that been done before?
I don't know, man. Might have. It rings a bell.
Rings a bell?
It's a bit of a conundrum whether we should use it.
Yeah. Rings a bell. Just like Quasimodo. That's that guy from...
It's that guy who works in the office next to mine. Or down the hall, the office down the hall. Got glasses and a nice beard. Wears good headphones.
Definitely laughter for that one, mate. You did well. Look, vision, I think, is huge. If you have a vision for your business, and if you don't, I think it's super important, and for your life as well. Is like, I want to make more profit. I want to have a great lifestyle and time to spend with my family and do the things that I like to do, which, if you're in business, you should have some vision like that. You're going to need team members to lift the load. It's part of the deal. So if you can key into your vision, it helps you kind of get past that short-term fear and anxiety as well.
That's it. So, I mean, let's land this plane, Tony. What's the big thing that we want people to take away from this today?
Well, I think the big thing is, if you're wondering about the best time to hire, don't procrastinate. Follow the 80% rule. Feel the fear. Do it anyway. Rather than thinking about what's the potential downside or the cost or the risk, ask yourself, what is it going to cost you if you don't hire? Now, what's the opportunity cost? That's the key thing.
Hey, I hope you liked the video. Check out all the other videos in the channel and like and subscribe.